The way we consume and share news today is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it is crucial that we look at what's being discussed online, from the hottest issues to trends. For our daily social media minute, we have Yerika Park in the studio. Good morning, Yerika.
Good morning.
So, Seoul has a lot of different palaces around, especially the old part of Seoul. If you're walking around, you see a mix of modern with the historical. And Gyeongbokgung Palace is one of the gems of the palaces here in Seoul. And a world-renowned fashion brand is throwing a big fashion show there.
Yes. In fact, did some fact checking in the last 5 seconds.
Okay.
And yes, it's their first fashion show in South Korea.
Uh-huh.
First in 25 years, the brand actually opened its first store here in Seoul back in 1998.
We're talking about Gucci.
We're talking about Gucci. Yes. And Gucci is staging its Cruise 2024 show at the Gyeongbokgung Palace in Seoul later today. The show is going to be held in front of Kunjeongjeon, which is the main hall of the palace. Kunjeongjeon was the main venue for royal ceremonies, all manner of royal ceremonies, in fact, where the king welcomed foreign dignitaries during the Joseon dynasty. And as for the brand, it was born in Florence, Firenze. It's a city that you all know by name. Many of you have probably visited the city. I know that Juwon has. It's a city that boasts rich history, lots of art, craftsmanship. It's a beautiful city. It's one of my favorite cities in all of Italy. And from there, the brand over the years spread its vision and beauty all around the world. And it's been strengthening its relationships with local communities around the world. It supports local talents, and it supports projects that include the preservation of a given country's traditions and heritage.
And that's kind of the reason why they picked such a historical place?
Absolutely. So Gucci underscored that Gyeongbokgung Palace is one of the wonders of the world. They apparently felt an instant connection with Korean culture and the people who created it the first time they visited the Gyeongbokgung grounds, and said the location is going to help celebrate the past and it will serve as an inspiration for the future. Now, last year, there was an agreement that Gucci made with the Cultural Heritage Administration. And as part of the agreement, Gucci unveiled a 3-year commitment to supporting and conserving and restoring the Gyeongbokgung Palace. And the Cultural Heritage Administration said the site was, it's not only just the main palace of Joseon Dynasty, but it was a center of great developments, scientific developments, development of literature, architecture, and art. Creation of Hangul, and even the advancement of astronomy. So it was a center of, it was the center of Korea, actually.
Yeah, and they do this in other countries around the world.
Yes, that's right. So Gucci has held its past shows, cruise collection shows, and other culturally significant locations around the world. They include New York's Dia Art Foundation, Westminster Abbey's cloisters in London, Palazzo Pitti's Palatina Gallery in Firenze, and the Capitoline Museums in Rome. Now, Gucci said it is committed to preserving these, historical sites as well. And regarding its commitment to Korea and Korean consumers, last year, Gucci signed Honey, the main vocalist for New Jeans, as its newest brand ambassador. The K-pop star joined other Korean ambassadors, including actor Lee Jung-jae and musical performer Kai.
Isn't she like 17, 18 years old?
They're young.
I mean, must be nice to be a Gucci ambassador while a teenager.
That's
still.
right.
I think we also have to note that the Korean consumption of designer brands and haute couture fashion has been exponentially spiking.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea is a very, very, very important market for luxury brands, and they're definitely they're eager to come here.
There's a reason why it's the first time Gucci's coming to Korea. Like, I mean, it's the consumption pattern. They're saying, hey, Koreans are consuming a lot of luxury brands
More
these
than
days.
Chinese consumers.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any Gucci bags?
Do I have any Gucci bags?
Am I getting too personal?
No. You know what? I have to say, there was a time when I was super into luxury goods, but not so much these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not into that for me either.
Yeah. I like style. I like fashion, but not necessarily luxury goods.
But in Korea, I heard like some of them, are like traditional hand-me-downs, but in a good way from the mother to the daughter.
Vintage.
Yeah, it's a sign of adulthood.
Yep.
So anyways, big fashion show being held in Seoul today.
Yes.
We're going to jump over to a Chinese city. And this city is becoming really well known for their barbecue.
Yeah. Have you heard of the city? The name of the city is Zibo.
Zibo.
Yeah, and it's my first time hearing the name. And if you have never heard of the name, you don't have to fret, because even the Chinese people, they're not very familiar with the city, because it's a rather sleepy industrial city of 4.7 million in eastern China. 4.7 million in other countries would typically be, a large population.
That's a large population.
Yeah, relatively not so much here in China. It's not typically known as a tourist hotspot, but it is quickly becoming one of the hottest visitor destinations in all of China. It's been at the center of this social media frenzy ever since China lifted its COVID restrictions back in January. Millions of local visitors have been visiting this previously very little known city in Shandong province. And its biggest attraction is apparently barbecue, cheap barbecue, like really cheap barbecue, skewered barbecue that we all love.
I mean, Koreans are known for their barbecue. But
Yeah, it's a different style.
Right?
They're skewered, and they sell for as low as 30 cents each. Yeah.
Wow.
So less than 400 won, 400 won. Right.
I'm looking at where it's located, and it's actually pretty close.
Yeah.
Shandong province, near Waifang and Jinan.
Yep.
Between those two cities.
Jiwon is actually looking at the map of China right now.
I want to try to get pictures of the barbecue. I'm interested in the food.
Yeah, so I'm going to explain in a little bit, but footage, I've seen photos, posted on social media that's been shared online. It's a really bustling atmosphere. Jiwon looks really excited.
They look like tacos.
Yes, that's how they eat them. So these are not just skewers. They like to wrap it in like those thin, like tortilla style.
Tortilla-looking things, yeah.
Yeah, flatbreads. And, the green thing, those are scallions, like fresh raw scallions, and they dip it in sesame sauce, apparently. And they're super popular. And so this city has, it's a really bustling atmosphere based on the photos. Crowds of people are eating and drinking their fill. There's a video on a social media platform in China that shows local tourists sort of like breaking into dance and song around their dining table. So there's like, singing going on.
So it's been
a
like
big party.
It's been dubbed like the Zibo. Yeah. Zibo barbecue. So if you're familiar with the lamb skewers, the Chinese lamb skewers,
which are everywhere here in Seoul as well.
So that's the way that they're cooking this meat. And then they kind of, pile it on in this tortilla-looking flatbread.
Yeah.
And with different vegetables and sauces.
Yeah.
And eat it. So basically, it's a taco party in China.
What's there not to like about it? I mean, I'm drooling already looking at it. And, you know a few things about Mexican cuisine.
And then I guess the local authorities, they're not wasting this opportunity.
They're capitalizing on this sudden influx of visitors. There's now a barbecue zone that can accommodate 10,000 people, featuring live band performances, volunteer volunteers have been dispatched to railway stations to offer advice and recommendations to tourists. Museums in the city have extended their opening hours. Designated buses and trains bring tourists to and from the hottest barbecue spots. The government, this actually grabbed my attention. The government has even threatened to punish hotels that try to profit by raising prices by more than 50%. Yes, and many people say such moves have been a big draw for tourists.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? Do you remember the samgyeopsal restaurant on top of 고속버스 terminal?
Yes.
The express bus terminal
Of course.
on top of in Gangnam? Like this picture kind of reminds me of that. And also, you know when 종로 all of a sudden, or no, 핫지로 now.
Yeah.
The street.
The hipjiro?
Yeah, hipjiro,
Yeah.
핫지로. I'm not even that hip. That's why I don't even know what it's called. But I've seen it where the alleyways, old eateries and old alleys have kind of become the new hit place for people to go visit.
The Generation MZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that scene is kind of similar, but
exactly
to a larger scale.
Yeah. Apparently, this one social media user who has like 15 million followers visited the city recently, and that has that social media post went viral apparently, and more younger visitors are visiting this once sleepy town. A record 87,000 train trips to and from the station. From the train station were seen back in April. And hotel rooms are seeing really high occupancy rates.
I'm looking at headlines. Banks are rolling out barbecue loans to businesses.
Oh my goodness.
For people to fund new barbecue restaurants.
You know, that they're doing something right. Maybe other cities in China can go visit and, benchmark. They're doing something right.
Having experience in the sector and just life, everything's cyclical. So I think this might be a flash in the pan effect a little bit.
See.
Yeah, but we have to see.
Yeah.
But if they try to maintain, I think some of the policies that you talked about where the government is putting in policies to prevent price gouging and taking advantage of tourists, I think that is building something towards the long term.
That's right.
Okay. Finally, the Cannes Film Festival, you could say it is the largest.
Yeah, it's the 76th Cannes Film Festival that's opening again later today. It's 7 p.m. The opening ceremony is 7 p.m. local time. So that's a little bit what's that?
7 p.m. European, like in France.
So it's going to be really, really early morning tomorrow for South Korea. Well, anyways, 5 South Korean films have been invited to this year's Cannes International Film Festival, which kicks off early in the morning tomorrow or later today, local time. And Kim Chang-hoon's Hopeless, Kim Ji-woon's Cobweb, Hong Sang-soo's In Our Day, Kim Tae-gon's Project Silence, and Jason Yu's Sleep will be the 5 films shown at the festival. This year, no South Korean film has been selected to compete in the main prize category, the Palme d'Or. And for those of you who are curious, who may want to even visit, lucky you, the festival runs until May 27th. Hopeless and Cobweb were invited to a certain regard category and out of competition category, respectively.
I mean, historically, Korean films have done very well at the Cannes.
Yes.
Have you ever been?
No, I've been to Cannes, but I've not been to the festival.
Is it as glamorous as people kind of imagine it to be?
In the summertime, everybody's like on the beach, and it's
yachts.
But if you go in the winter season, the off season, it's not so glamorous.
Just sleepy and quiet.
It's pretty quiet. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about some of these films. Cobweb, Hopeless.
I mean, you can go online and check out, information about these films. But just to mention a couple very quickly, Cobweb is Kim Ji-woon's first feature film in 13 years. His third project, in fact, to be screened at Cannes. It features veteran actor Song Kang-ho, who, by the way, won the Best Actor award at Cannes last year. Cobweb revolves around the struggles of a film director played by Song Kang-ho in the 1970s when the industry sort of languished due to government censorship and unsupportive actors. Hopeless is the film that will be screened at a certain regard section that focuses on art house films. again, you can check out the information about all these films online. But, Song Kang-ho and Song Joong-ki are expected to appear at the red carpet event with directors and other cast members. So there's something to look forward to there.
Ooh, Song Joong-ki is going to Is he going to bring his new wife?
I don't know.
Katie? That's her name, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like I have more movies to check out. And thank you so much for
Pleasure
the update.
See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.